Very old saying in geopolitics, you can be an empire or you can be a debtor, but you cannot be both. For 80 years, the United States defied this rule. They printed the money and the world accepted it. They sanctioned their enemies and the world obeyed. They were the masters of the universe, but this week, the master had to go begging. In Caracas, the United States is doing the unthinkable. After years of trying to destroy Nicolas Maduro,
Kal halal yom la Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. That is the saying in the ancient Hebrew tongue. All praises to Yahweh in the name Yahushai, in the name of the Spirit Holy. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Fathers, and Yahushai is the name of the Heavenly Father, only begotten Son. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salute to the bishops and elders who rule well. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. So I'm here to listen and pray, and I hope that this will be an edifying one unto the body. And the name of this one is America, the global bully, is getting weaker and weaker. So that's the name of the show. I pray and I hope it will be an edifying one. And let me just start by reading the book of Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 22. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So this Babylon is speaking about Mr. Babylon the Great, which is America, right? So America is in the Bible, and America is Mr. Babylon the Great. America is that powerful empire that has been prophesied to rule in the last days. America is the revival of the western leg of the Roman Empire, which was run by Edomites, the descendants of Esau, Edom, so-called white people. And they are the ones governing America, and they are losing their power. They are getting weaker and weaker. You know, the petrodollar is losing its grip on the earth, and the bad bully on the block is what getting weaker and weaker. You know, as you know, these weaker nations start to get stronger and stronger, America is getting weaker and weaker at the same time. So let's just listen to this. Specialist speaks about America. So listen to this from the top.
very old saying in geopolitics, you can be an empire or you can be a debtor, but you cannot be both. For 80 years, the United States defied this rule. They printed the money and the world accepted it. They sanctioned their enemies and the world obeyed. They were the masters of the universe, but this week, the master had to go begging. In Caracas, the United States is doing the unthinkable. After years of trying to destroy Nicolas Maduro, after seizing his planes, freezing his accounts, and putting a $15 million bounty on his head, Washington is suddenly desperate to make a deal. Why? Because the petrodollar is dying, and they need Venezuela's oil to save it. And in Washington, the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is facing a nightmare. He needs to borrow $3 trillion this year just to keep the lights on, but his usual customers aren't buying. So he is forced to look across the ocean to the very country the U.S. calls its greatest enemy, China. Do you see the irony? The United States is currently waging an economic war against the two countries that it needs the most. I worked at the IMF for many years. I have seen this pattern before. When a superpower starts begging its enemies for resources, it is not a 4D chess move. It is a liquidation sale. Today we are going to look at the two desperate deals happening behind closed doors. The oil deal in Venezuela and the debt deal with China. Because if either of these deals fails, the American economy does not just recession, it stops. Let us start with the humiliation in Caracas. If you want to understand how weak the American empire has become, you do not need to look at the GDP numbers. You just need to look at who they are shaking hands with. 5 years ago, the United States declared that Nicolas Maduro was not the president of Venezuela. They recognized a man named Juan Guaido. They froze Venezuela's bank accounts. They seized their airplanes. They even put a $15 million bounty on Maduro's head like he was a cowboy outlaw in a Western movie. The goal was simple: collapse the Venezuelan economy, force a regime change, and take control of the world's largest oil reserves. So, what happened? Maduro is still there, but the American oil strategy is dead. You see, the United States made a catastrophic miscalculation. They assumed that if they sanctioned Venezuelan oil, the world would stop buying it. But the world is hungry. China continued to buy. India continued to buy. And here is the detail that keeps the U.S. Treasury awake at night. They did not pay in dollars. Venezuela became the first laboratory for a post-dollar oil market. They started selling their oil for Chinese yuan and increasingly for USDT crypto. By sanctioning them, the U.S. forced Venezuela to build a financial immune system. They proved to the world that you can sell oil without Washington's permission. And now the tables have turned. While the U.S. has plenty of oil in Texas, it is the wrong kind of oil. It is light sweet crude. But the massive American refineries in the Gulf Coast, they were built 50 years ago to process heavy sour crude. Without that heavy oil, the refineries choke. They cannot produce enough diesel. And if diesel runs out, the American supply chain stops. So we see the unthinkable. American diplomats are quietly going back to Caracas. They are issuing waivers to companies like Chevron to pump oil in Venezuela again. They are offering debt relief. They are essentially begging the man they tried to overthrow to please turn the pumps back on. This is not diplomacy, this is surrender. It proves that when push comes to shove, the United States needs the global South's resources more than the global.
This is not diplomacy. This is surrender. It's America, Babylon the Great is getting weaker and weaker. You know, every year pass, Babylon gets weaker and weaker. Right? Let me just get now Jeremiah chapter 51 and come on. Jeremiah 51 and verse 6, it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render upon her a recompense." So you flee out of America, by, dropping the America way of life as an Israelite. And you turn back to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Right? So you flee America by stop, conforming to the American way of life and go back to the scriptures, the Bible, and use the Bible as a moral compass and pray to endure unto the end of the so-called white man's age of rulership, and pray that the Lord deliver your soul, physically deliver you out of Babylon, America. Right? So verse 7 now says, "Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken, the nation of drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." Right? So America, just like the Western Empire, the Western leg of the Roman Empire had influence over, the people in the time when the Roman Empire was ruling. People took on the Roman way of life. And it's the same way everybody have been Americanized, because America is that golden cup with that wine, which is what? Her philosophy, her way of life, which she have pushed on the nations. Therefore, the nations are mad. Immorality is the norm. And also these nations, they are pissed off because the American way hasn't helped them. The American way actually made their life worse, made their women into whores, and their sons into gunmen, drug lords, and drug addicts. You know what I mean? And just stupid, useless people. The American way of life, dumb people. So America has been that beacon of light, evil light upon the earth. Now verse 8 now says, "Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. All for her, take balm for her pain, is so she may be ill. So a balm is a healing substance. And the Lord said, take it for America, China. But it's not possible to heal America. Why? Because America have been prophesied to be destroyed. The Apostle John saw America being burnt. The angel said, Babylon is falling, is falling. That great city, Babylon, in 1 hour, has become a desolation. And America is going to become a large desert. So America declining, her gradual falling is going to lead to her permanent fall. And she will never rise up again. No man will ever live on that landmass, which today they call America. No man will ever dwell there after Yahweh Shem Yahushua is done with it. But it's gradually going down, right? Economically, America is going down. Recession, right? You have inflation, flirting with hyperinflation, hard life. People at the bottom of the food chain struggling to make ends meet, working 3, 4, 5 jobs and still can't live a comfortable life, can't eat healthy consistently. Why? Because the American empire is going down, right? And there's no fixing it. So verse 9 now says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Right? So America's iniquities, has lifted up to the skies. The Lord of Sabaoth, the Lord of armies, Yahweh himself, has seen what America has done unto the saints, the Israelites, the head tribe, Judah, Issachar, Gad, Reuben. They have suffered a lot. And all of us suffer under Esau, Benjamin, Manasseh, Ephraim, name all of the 12 tribes of Israel. All of us suffer under the hands of the so-called white man and under the hands of America, Mystery Babylon the Great. So the Lord is going to judge that place. So it's going down, and, the bully and the block, the hammer of the whole earth is getting weaker and weaker. Now we have them in the Caribbean seas, trying to make deals with Venezuela because they can't just run in. Russia is there as a god, to these nations which have aligned themselves with, Gog, with the Russian Empire. So the Lord has set the stage for America to fall, and she can't just go around and just use badness, brute force, or military might like how she used to could in the past. Now she have to be thinking. She have to rethink her decisions. She have to be very careful. Why? Because the Lord is strengthening these weaker nations simultaneously. He's cutting the power of Mystery Babylon the Great, the bully, the hammer of the whole earth. Yes, I pray and I hope that this was an edifying lesson. Shalom, stay prayed up. Shalom.